Hey guys, we're live on the moon. I'd like to welcome you to my Moon Musings. My name is Bill Bryson, and I try to get out every evening and look at the moon if it's at all possible. And I'm right now going to explore this moon with a 18 millimeter lens. I'm going to go over the whole moon and try to show you some things that you might not have seen, and who knows what we're going to see. Uh, right here, this thing. I've been thinking a lot about these Mars, what they call Mars on the moon, and centered is one particular Mars. I have currently a Logitech C910 $68 web camera connected to my telescope, which is a Celestron Nexstar 8 SE, and I'm trying to learn the ropes on it and adjusting things as they will come out. Tonight it's Tuesday night. It's almost Wednesday morning. It's 11:44 p.m. on the 15th of November, and I want to just zoom in. Yes, this particular camera does have a zoom. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And let me turn the autofocus on. You'll see it jump in and out. I want to just, I want to, let me focus it manually because there is some atmospherics. I want you to look at what I see centered. I know that the scientists will. By the way, I'm not a scientist. I'm not an astronomer. I'm a novice, a nobody who is just trying to learn astronomy and very practical about what I do with it. But if you take a look at this particular sea, you'll see it looks like a lake. And I think at one time it was water. They're saying it's like sand, but it looks to me, instead of being flat, it's got depth, and like there's canyons below there, but yet it has a surface, and you can see lights on the surface, and you'll see these all over the moon. For this session, I'm going to be examining these Mars close. We're going to basically go in and look at them close, and then try to let me focus it again. Let me turn the autofocus on. It does have an autofocus. This lens is by the way, it might be a cheap camera, but it's a very, very high-end camera. The lens is a 5-element lens, especially designed by Carl Zeiss. I believe they're out of Singapore. I don't know. They're all over the world. And it has autofocus, and it does have a zoom. And it is color corrected. It's designed specifically to bring out the color as a webcam. Okay, let me back out off of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And see how it jumps in and out. That's the autofocus. I'm going to turn the autofocus off. I like to use it when I can, uh, but it appears that there's just a little bit too many atmospherics. What we're going to do is we're going to just kind of go around the moon and look for things. I do what I call surveys of the moon, and I try to look at the moon. We turn the exposure down. See how when I turn the exposure down, it kind of brought out the details around that crater. The moon is a really unique thing to look at, and every night, see that shadow line that's on the top. That shadow line moves. That shadow line moves all throughout the night, and the moon rotates. It's called field rotation. If you go out in the early evening, isn't the color just spectacular on that? Now just take a look at that stuff. This really blows me away. The way this camera brings out the color that's on the moon. Some of you say, well, that's not color, that's lens aberration. No, it's not lens aberration, it's color on the moon. And matter of fact, let's just see where we're kind of centered right there on that mountain range where it's kind of real bright. Let's just zoom in on that. I have auto exposure on, so it should automatically adjust as we go in. And you can see, isn't that incredible? I'm going to just let it kind of float there for a minute. Absolutely incredible. To the left, as you see that, let me just turn autofocus on for right now, just for a second. You see that mountain range that comes in. Gotta get it in focus. That mountain range that comes into and down to that crater, that's what they call on the moon the Alps. Yeah, they do have Alps on the moon. There's a fancy name for it. It's alpine something, but basically it's the Alps. Now let me zoom back out. What's unique about this camera, though, I've had a lot of people today watch my last video, and now look at that. Isn't that absolutely incredible, guys? I tell you what, if a UFO is going to pop up out of one of those craters, I'm recording this at 1080p. I will get excellent detail of that UFO. So we're on a UFO lookout tonight. I can't believe the color on this thing. And I think I can go back one more time. Yeah. And you can see that what I'm trying to show you is that the camera itself is a Carl Zeiss made this thing. It's 5 elements. There's 3 lenses that are glued together, and then there are 2 that are separate. And as I understand it, the autofocus is actually a physical focus in the camera. So when we go in and zoom, we're actually seeing more detail. It's not a software zoom is what I'm trying to say. And that's an absolutely incredible picture. Okay, let's continue our survey. I do these surveys, well, not every evening, but see see the way the shadow line is, it kind of goes horizontally on the top of the moon the way it is right now. Matter of fact, you see that crater right there at the top? I'm going to kind of center it at the very top. Let me kind of center it right there, and let's zoom in on that. That to me is what I call a hornet's nest crater. You'll see that if you follow my videos, that I have a name for everything. I have a name. See how the crater, there it is centered. See how that crater is sticking out up off of the surface. To me, it looks like a hornet nest. You know, the nest, how the hornet takes the mud and makes it. These are what I call hornet nest craters. You can see one on the far right there too. Some of them are higher than others. Some of them are pronounced. Let's back out again. We're just going to do a survey. This is what I do. I was trying to explain and I got sidetracked. The shadow line moves. The shadow line moves, and every night it's high adventure on the moon. I mean, it's it's like you're Magellan sailing the seas looking for points unknown. And actually, let me turn down the brightness. See, that's real bright. Well, let me. That's good enough. So every time I go up here and I look at the moon, I'm kind of looking for whatever. See, that's the top of the moon. It's all shadow. And I just turned the exposure down so I could bring out the details on the left edge, which is still pretty bright. Let me turn it down to see as I turn it down, you can see some of the details. I'll tell you what, I want to see that mar right there to the right. I'm still getting used to this control because I do not have the diagonal in. Yeah, that mar right there, centered. I'll turn the auto exposure on again, and I'm going to zoom in on that. And I'm kind of tonight is a night to analyze these Mars. Let's see what I can do with this. Turn the brightness down. Now take a look at that. It looks like a sea. That's why they call them Mars. Mars means sea. And if you look at it, it looks like it looks like there's points of light below the surface. See, there are some points of light that are on top of it and some below it. My own practical bill says that it's made out of crystal, and we're looking through the crystal into it. Scientists will say, no, that's all sand, but I can't imagine that that's sand because if you look at it, you can actually see it looks like a reef, like on an ocean, where you can see below it, and yet you can see on the top. So to me, it does not look like it's sand. Let me just try to focus it again. You can see it. It's not a good moon tonight because it's kind of wavy, but you can still get a real good idea of what we're looking at. Also, if you look, I'll just leave this picture right here because it is absolutely beautiful. Let me turn the autofocus on just to see if it can get it in any better. See that crater to the right centered. That crater is also what I call Hornet Nest Crater. And you just, I'm trying to focus it again. You just have an awful lot of them. Let me go up while I have it in. And see the Mars seem to have these darker areas that, you know, I've heard speculated that, you know, they could be canyons. I don't know what they are, but to me they look like, it looks like it's a crystal lake. I have one area that I call Crystal Lake. Matter of fact, let's, right now, while we have it in close, I'm going to go over here and look at this this mountain range. Look at the detail. People say, well, you shouldn't use color. Well, I'm just showing you what's up there. I'm not. I mean, the color is on the moon. It's not the lens, guys. It's on the moon. And you're seeing the real moon just the way the good Lord made it. Now take a look at that crater. There's two craters, two big craters that are really bright. If I backed out, that would be brilliantly bright. And if you look between them, you see kind of like when the asteroid or whatever hit it and impacted, then you see the rays. That's like the impact. Well, look between those, and you can see like it looks like canyons. You know, it looks like a mountain. Looks like it landed on a mountain range, and then it splattered like it was, like they were like paintballs. And then below it, you see a different coloration in the canyon. Isn't that incredible? I mean, this just blows me away. Okay, let me back out so you can see the big picture. I don't want to get stuck on the closeness so you don't see the big picture. Now, if you can't tell me that doesn't look beautiful, guys, this is live video from the moon. I am absolutely dumbfounded at this camera. This camera is an incredible camera. By the way, I have improved my clock. Everything, all these sessions with this camera, these are experimental. This is an experimental camera, and I'm learning as I go. So I think it's absolutely stunning. Matter of fact, let's before we move on, let's go to the left. I see something that's of interest. For this survey, guys, I'm not going to put a 5 in or anything. I'm just going to I'm going to kind of just work this lens, and that is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Look at the color. And NASA says the moon doesn't have any color. I tell you, they're crazy as loonies. There's so much color on the moon, it's unbelievable. Let me zoom in on that. Again, I have autofocus on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And let me try to fine tune it with the autofocus. Just, I think that's about it. And I wanted to show you one thing before I moved on. See these promontories. If you take a look at the screen and look at the two right now centered, there's two small craters centered. To the left of those, it actually even looks like a coastline with a promontory, a pinnacle. And each of these points have different names. Now take a look at that mar again. That looks to me like it's made out of crystal, or something that you can see through, and that as you look down into it, you can actually see below the surface of the crystal. You can see like mountains. It's not just a flat sand land. See, if I took this in a different light, it would look like it was totally flat. It looks like it has depth. I believe that there's life on the moon, and I believe that we haven't been told all the truth about it. And it's my intent to go up here and look every night, and maybe eventually I'll see something that. Isn't that beautiful, guys? Absolutely beautiful. Right now I'm recording at 1080p at 8 frames a second. It's varying between 7 and, isn't that beautiful? 7 and 8 frames a second. Looks like an ocean, doesn't it? Let me do this. See right there that, let me center it. That thing centered on that's on that mar. That is what I call the dragon. And let me turn the brightness up. And you can see, let me turn the contrast up just a dab. And you can see even around that, Henning wanted me to go in here. Henning is a friend of mine on Facebook and YouTube, who also does videos of the moon. He wanted me to kind of go in there close and look at that. It looks to me like it's something, maybe it's an island on top of that mar. But you can see right below that dragon, or right below that island, you can see like, it looks to me like mountains and things at depth. I just don't know what it is. Let me go in one more time. Isn't this zoom neat? I can just zoom in and out at will. I didn't think the moon would be very good tonight at all. I was telling you before that there you go, that the moon changes I mean, it seems like, let me back out even further. There you go. Isn't that beautiful, guys? I words fail me when I see this kind of beauty. I don't know why astronomers, you know, I'm a novice. I don't know anything about astronomy. I'm just learning. But to me, uh, I've seen the videos of these astronomy. They go out in the parking lots and set up the telescopes, and then they point their telescope at Saturn, and then have somebody come over and look through the eyepiece. Well, to me, I mean, that's not astronomy. This is astronomy. I mean, this is modern astronomy. You go to Best Buy, and the only thing that you can buy, that's, by the way, what I call Crystal Lake, which is centered, and I'm going to zoom in on that right now. You go to Best Buy, and the only thing you can buy is high-definition TVs, widescreen, high-definition TVs, and yet astronomers are just using these, focus it in, the standard definition. I'll put autofocus on right here. Just see what it does. See what it does. You'll see it trip in and then trip out. That's when the waves, and then it gets in focus again, and then it trips in. I'll just leave it like that for a second. That's all part of the camera to make sure it's all in focus. Well, I don't know why astronomy hasn't picked up on what I'm doing. I mean, I can change lenses with this camera. I can share this with the world. If I was in a parking lot with at one of these meets, I could have a TV screen there, and everybody could watch it, and it'd be like watching the show. I mean, this is the way to do astronomy. I can record this as I'm a teacher, and I can go out there and shoot Orion, and then look at the moon and change lenses, and I mean, I can use it as a teaching aid. I mean, I don't know why people don't use it. Let me talk about Crystal Lake. This area, I believe, has a complex, and you can't see it in this video. I made 2 videos of Crystal Lake where I show the details of the buildings. I went in there with a 2.5 times Barlow on a 5mm, and I believe there's I believe that the Americans have a base up there, and that's what I believe. Call me crazy, but that's what I believe. Look at Crystal Lake. I'm going to center it again. It's that little. That's where I first called it Crystal Lake, because if you look at that, you can see the points of light on top of the lake. I think that they're like towers with lights on top of them. And then if you look, you see towers below the surface, and then below that you even see like mountains and valleys and things, but it's flat, so that you can see through it. And I think, well, it's a crystal. I don't know what it is, and I don't know if there's a base up there, but I just know there's things on that right in that area that look like buildings. No doubt about it. Back out. Isn't this amazing? I can just, show you things and then back out. And then we kind of get where we started. What let me do before we shut this down, and I don't like these things to go too long. I want to kind of move it over here and then just go up. Just go up. So I can get the center of the moon for you. And then we're going to finish it up at the top. Well, I just saw something that caught my eye that we got to look at. To the let me just, the bottom side of the using 1080p, you might not realize it, but 1080p is an incredible feat. 1080p is 1920 by 10, no, 1900 by 1020. It's 4 megapixels per second. So I'm recording this 7 frames a second, so I'm 8 frames a second, 9 in that area. So I'm recording data, an incredible amount of data. And I'm using, I'm doing this on my hard drive, and I'm doing it with a large computer. I wanted to say one more thing about because I know some of you guys are going to try to do this. And I don't have any secrets. I'll tell you everything I know. Now take a look at that. While I zoomed in, that's another MAR, and it looks real clear, like there's something below the surface. Now, why doesn't NASA tell us about these things? That's what I want to know. I mean, why? What is that? I mean, they'll say, well, that's all just sand, flat sand. That's not sand. I mean, I don't know what it is, but it's not sand. I have a Toshiba, which has served me pretty well for my videos. And the performance rating on the Toshiba is exactly what it is on this large computer. But I tried to do this using the View software, trying to capture. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely stunning. Trying to capture the data, and I mean, I couldn't do it. Let's just go to the left. Go to the left and up. And I'll try and drop the brightness down just a dab. There you go. And I was trying to figure out why I couldn't get the Toshiba to work. I'll tell you what it is. There's so much data transfer. The key is the bus. My motherboard on my PC has a, and let me zoom in on that. See the Alps? I'm going to zoom in on the Alps. My motherboard has Ethernet. It's called Hyper Ethernet. Isn't that neat that I can zoom in? Hyper Ethernet. And Hyper Ethernet is extremely fast. So this computer has a fast bus. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And I think that's the key to getting this this software to grab this much data. So if you're going to try this, don't try it on a laptop or a notebook. You better pull out a larger computer to ensure that you can grab the data. And I'll brighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to end it here. This is just so beautiful, unbelievable. Okay, that's it. Again, I do this every night. Name is Bill Bryson. I'm by the way, about 30 miles west of Houston. That'll give you an idea where I'm at. And tonight we do have a clear sky and a pretty clear moon. My intent is to, by the way, do the planets and as well the nebula as I can on live video. So that should be very interesting at 1080p. I think this 1080p absolutely is incredible. And I think these images just are unbelievable. So in the meantime, I wish you and yours clear skies, guys.